think I'm all set up here. Testing, testing, hello, hello. Yes, hi. I'm Edward18, and, if you are new to how these streams work, we spend about a minute or two in silence as I get set up here. So if you're watching afterwards, just skip past this and go to when I'm working, and talking, and whatever. For right now, in the current time period though, as I'm making this video, I will be back in a couple of minutes. So just sit tight. And I think we may be ready to get going here. Let me just put this here, put this over here, and bring this up. And if everything's in order, we can get started. Hello anyone that is tuning in. This is Edward18 doing what is probably the final video of our spooky month we got going on, and yeah, we're just getting one last comic page done for the month. It's just the continuing fight between Doko and the Claw in the final match of the comic. But it's something that I gotta do. It's be kind of odd to just have it jut to the end of the fight and skip everything, so we'll be working on the stuff that comes before the end. Obviously, it's getting a bit further into the fight, a bit towards the finale of it, with how much damage has been dealt to the characters, with, like, Doko bleeding from his arm and everything. There's still quite a ways left to go. Not quite a ways, but still a ways left. I actually got the entire fight, like, somewhat sketched out. It's very, very loosely, very, very lightly. Not much in the way of details, but I do have sort of a number of pages that are left for the fight. It should be, I think, about maybe 9-10 pages are left for it. Yeah, we're coming in on the ending towards it. Of course, that's not going to be the end of this issue of the comic. That's just the end of the fight. Longest comic I have ever done. Let's see here. Alright, that should... yeah, there we go. We have the fill tool working correctly. Yeah, this is easily, like, the most damage I think Doko has taken in the comics so far. But he still has quite the journeys left ahead of him, though. It's not a series that is anywhere close to being finished at this point. And no one fear, this is not a tournament series. It does not just end with this, this little event that they've decided to participate in. Many, many, many more adventures to come. And if everything works out throughout the course of my life, many, many adventures to come for various characters that the audience has not seen yet. In various different time periods. And Doko's journeys are just sorta... they're kind of the ending of the franchise, timeline-wise. Like, all the stuff I made up when I was little took place back in the 90s and 2000s. And I do intend for those adventures to be made at some point. It's just that Doko's comics are what I ended up attempting first. I don't think I really intended for it to, like, keep going. It was just sort of an experiment, because I always intended for all of the adventures I made up when I was younger to be video games. That Doko's one felt like, well, it was the most current stuff that I was making, so that's like one of the reasons I attempted a comic for it. The other is just, there's a lot of story to tell with Doko's adventures, so it seemed appropriate to take a shot at his stuff. And I kinda just never stop, so we are on comic number 15 now, I think? Maybe 14? I'd have to look at the covers for each, which I can do. Let me see here. Yeah, it's 14 is the one we're on. Of Heroes and Legends. Which, if anyone is noticing the thumbnail, it is a different of Heroes and Legends thumbnail than the ones I have been using for the streaming videos. Because I made this one's thumbnail, using the other version of GIMP that I have on my, like, Windows 7 computer. That's where I scan everything in. I edit it mostly on there also when I can, because the Windows 7 computer always does run, like, more smoothly when it comes to drawing than the Windows 10 computer I'm using right now and for, like, all the videos that I stream. It's just always been a lot more fluid when it comes to the lines that are put down. But obviously I can't stream on that computer, so you don't get to see that performance. Technology marches on. For better and worse. I think that we'd get to a point where eventually the systems would just stop and, like, any enhancements that are made would just be, like, modded onto the machine you already have. Which I guess there are people that do that, but after a while usually corporations will come out with yet another version of their product and make things more obsolete. It's always more profitable, unfortunately, to make a new product to advertise. But that's business. I probably got quite a bit of blacks to fill in on this page, so may be here for a few hours. I have, like, I think 3 commissions I need to get to continuing. Yeah, I got quite a number of commissions compared to, like, previous times that I've said I've been doing commissions. I'm assuming it's due to the sales prices. That sale is now over, so anyone wanting anything made for them will have to settle for the previous prices. We are listening to music from Knit Stories, which I believe was a game or a game program from the late 2000s, early 2010s. And it was basically just making up adventures that this character called Knit would go on. I've experimented in it a few times over the years, but I've never had time to, like, properly sit down and make a full, like, game in it. The hassles of being a creator that works on numerous things at every hour of the lifespan. Right now, I got animation I'm working on, commissions I'm working on, this all that I'm working on. This is a lifelong project, so that's going to be an eternal endeavor. If I had my way, it would be a day-long project, where I just made all the adventures and got the story out there. But obviously that's impossible, with everything I intend to tell. So I gotta go through this bit by bit, brick by brick, tick by tick. Perhaps once we have conquered the issue of the human lifespan being so short, there will be more stuff that can get done by one person. But until that time, we are stuck with the time that we have. Just gotta prioritize what is and isn't the most important things to create in that time. And as the life goes on, obviously that'll shift depending on what the person does, what they choose to do, and their own changing opinions and preferences on things. For me, I just tend to have the same opinions no matter what the time period, so I'm pretty consistent in that regard. If a video game comes out and it's good when it comes out, yeah, it's good forever. If it's bad when it comes out, it's bad forever. My views on things generally do not shift in that regard. And that is the point of the review videos I do, is to give my thoughts on things. I feel that a lot of people do not realize or forget that reviews are just somebody's opinions. And it's more analytical than just saying, like, your opinion on, like, a message board or something, but all reviews really are is just opinions with a lot of fancy words in it. That's pretty much it. And they've always been fun to make videos of that, giving your personal thoughts, unfiltered, just, yeah, this is great, or this is garbage. and then giving all the nice little details you can elaborate on in those videos. Make it a little show of what you truly think about something. That's why I put animations and everything in it. It feels kind of boring to just be doing just talking. There's videos that do it well, but for me, I feel like I need to have the more lively aspect to it. There's a lot of people, like, everyone has their own what they do for animation, own style, own effort that they give and all that, what they feel they should before moving on to the next project. But for me, I always try to put as much work as I can into the animations. Feels really lazy and sort of unfair to just do, like, animatics and nothing else. I've done still images and stuff for some of the moments in reviews, but a lot of times I will put in, like, as much animation as I can feasibly give. I feel like it's more work than some people on YouTube do for their animations. Obviously, not as much as some others, but for the general YouTube animations, they're usually not that high of quality, I don't think. There's some that are definitely amazing, but by and large, a lot of it is just really kinda sorta choppy a lot of times, and a lot of times does not have much in the way of actual animation in it. But as long as you got the expressions and stuff, you get your point across. We got quite some furrowed, aggravated expressions on this page. Yeah, all the tenseness of the ongoing conflict. This is very peaceful music. I was kind of irked on the birthday stream when that got, like, it felt like it was going to get, like, banned or something with what happened in it. And it ended up being simple enough to, like, chop the part that was an issue out with. But because of that, the chat in that birthday video is no longer able to be seen. It messed it all up. However, I took pictures of the chat before I closed out the streaming program. So if anyone wants to see what all people were talking about in that birthday video, that is over in the streaming channel of the Discord, which the link to the Discord is in the description, if anyone wants to go there. Obviously, I don't think that anyone really, like, prioritizes seeing some random stream's chat as a reason for, like, going to a whole new Discord server. But it's there if anyone wants to see it. It was a fun stream, and getting to talk to all the people there, Shadow, Nice Bullseye, Milo with his new Gamer something is his new, like, screen name. Yeah, it was great, like, going through the Transformers and playing through Earthworm Jim again. Which, the thing that caused the problem in that birthday stream was I tried to show the cartoon of Earthworm Jim at one part, And that's what, like, caused the, suspension during the stream for, like, 5 minutes. Once I stopped playing that, and the stream got back to normal. So it's still perfectly viewable. Just keep in mind, everybody, for if you ever want to do anything of, like, the, Earthworm Jim cartoon, don't. That's, I guess something that YouTube does not like people showing. For what reason, I cannot imagine. I'm assuming it has to do with copyright stuff. It was just kind of weird to me to have it happen during the stream. That's the hassles of streaming. You never really know what's going to cause an issue until you run into it. My only regret is the chat is no longer able to be seen there. But all in all, that's like a non-issue. It was a perfectly great birthday for me. Getting to hang out with everyone, and then also just all the stuff I did beforehand, the going out for pizza and ice cream and everything. Very delicious. And then one of the people at the cafe at the bookstore gave me, like, a free birthday, chai. And that was very delicious. Let me see here. Okay, that's the belt up here. Uh-oh. Yep, I figured that was gonna happen. Oh, that's Doko's shirt there. So... yeah. Make a space here. I was kind of surprised, because I thought the Transformers, footage was the thing that was an issue while the stream was going. But all that stuff went through just fine. So at least I know I can make videos on, like, beast machines or whatever. Which I guess should be obvious to me, because I did do a whole music video of Beast Wars and Beast Machines. What was the song I used in that? I think it was a Breakin' Benjamin song. Unknown Soldier, that was it. Yeah. It's hard to think that that was, like, a few years ago now that I made that. Everything that I work on, it feels like just yesterday that I've done stuff. Although that's how I am in general with things. Like, they could make a new episode of Ed, Edd and Eddy, and it would just feel like, oh yeah, that show's still going, to me. That's how I've always been. Yeah, time kinda... the timeline kind of is irrelevant to me. It doesn't really have a, like, place in my mind as sort of, as like, yeah, that's an old thing, or that's a new thing. No, it's just whenever I see something, no matter when I see it, or when it was made, or if I've seen it before or not, it's just, oh, that was a thing. There's rarely ever, like, a feeling of oldness to me with anything. It's just, this is a thing that was made, and I either like it or I don't. Like the Numa Numa dance, that still feels new to me. I know it's not, but I know it predates YouTube. but it still feels like a new thing to me. Yeah, time and trends and everything pretty much have no place in my mind. They're just meaningless words that people put on stuff. Whatever I like is what I like, and that's what I view and enjoy and create. I myself want to make various things that people would probably consider old at this point. I would love to make a 3D collectathon, like Banjo-Kazooie 2E type game. It's kind of what I had planned for Capper and the TV Demons and stuff. I think I put stuff up about that in the Discord. If not, I'll get on that. Hello, Bowyer, how are you doing? We're working on page 85 of Heroes and Legends today. I just been rambling about the passage of time and all sorts of other nonsense. Things that interrupted the birthday stream. And just the general goings-on of things. Right now, it is very cold. It is sort of dropped down to like 45 degrees Fahrenheit now. Quite a shift from when I was wearing more short-sleeved stuff a couple of days ago. At least got to enjoy my birthday without having to shiver. Yeah. There's all sorts of things that will just... Whenever something new comes out, and I look back at something old, it's kinda the same thing to me. Speaking of new, though, I did see the amazing Digital Circus. I guess that's something people are going on about now, because nowadays I just see people posting videos about it all the time. Yeah, I just saw it, because, like, it's a Gooseworks thing, so obviously I would look at that. And yeah, Amazing Digital Circus is not as crazy as some of Gooseworks' other stuff, but it is pretty nice. Yeah, there's a lot of craziness that Gooseworks does. If I remember right, they did the music on, like, well, they were one of the people doing the music with, like, Vivzy Pop stuff, Hell of a Boss, Has-Been Hotel, and all that. I knew them more from, like, Runmo. I've seen that animation, like, at least 25 times over the years, I think. Yeah. One of the crazier people in the YouTube animation scene. Oh, who is my favorite character, Daniel? I assume you mean from, The Amazing Digital Circus. Let me think about that. I guess Pomni is just a really great character, main, and, very anxious, quite relatable in the freak out and stuff. Although Ragatha is the nicest of them. I like Kinger a lot, because he's, like, insane, and he probably knows a lot of stuff that the others don't with how long he's been there, but it might be completely meaningless for him to know stuff with how far gone he might be. And I like Tangler a lot. No, Gangle a lot. It's very nice, sweet character. I was surprised to find out, like, that Pomni is older than Jax. I was not expecting that, but at the same time, that's not all that much of a surprise with how Gooseworks operates. Gooseworks is one that kinda just does whatever comes to their head, and they don't have as much of a like logical restraint to how they do things and what appearances would lead people to believe about characters. I'm assuming that Pomni must have, like, either worked at the CNA company, or that she was investigating an old office of theirs and put the headset on there. That's just my guess. That's the most recent thing I've seen. I do have, like, the first 4 seasons of Adventure Time now, but I've never watched that show. I just have the stuff. I imagine at some point I'll get around to seeing things from it. Edward18 is ever the collector. Which people got to see some of the stuff I had over in the birthday stream, although that is not at all like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the stuff that I have stored up. I just like to keep things, like, preserved as much as possible for if there's ever a chance at that stuff being lost to time. And I believe that Doug TeNapel, like, Earthworm Jim comic trailer that I showed on stream, I believe that is lost to time. I don't think that is, like... I don't think anyone besides me has that at this point. Unless people, back when I was, like, collecting his stuff up, were also collecting his stuff up, which I don't think they were at that time. I'm pretty sure probably nobody is besides me and maybe 1 or 2 other people in the world. But I'm fairly confident in me having, like, the most of his video stuff out of pretty much anyone. Oh yeah, that is the logical conclusion, is to have the king and queen chess pieces together, Daniel. And that would be pretty tragic. Although at the same time, knowing Gooseworks, it could be just some random person that ended up getting the queen chess piece is all. You never know until you get further into the series, which I'm sure some of those characters that are crossed out are going to be at least mentioned and talked about at some point. I'm figuring the void must be, like, the way to get out if you go far enough out into it. No one can go out there, that's spoilers, apparently. This is a very ambient track. Kinda makes me think of playing the Matanui online game, Bionicle. They had a lot of great ambient musics in that title. which was made by Templar Games. I'm not sure, I don't think that studio's around anymore, but goddamn did they make, like, the best internet video game ever created. I will play that game any day of my life. It was so cool getting to the end of that, and it, like, zooms out as you're going down into Makuda's lair, and you finally get to see who you've been playing as. And it's the guy from the Game Boy Advance game. That was incredible to have that. Then you find out he's Takua. Basically the main character of the first 3 or 4 years of Bionicle. Sadly, once he becomes Takanuvi, kinda just becomes a completely different character, feels like. Although they don't even really have him around enough for him to be a character after that much. Yeah, I was thinking that the whole bodies that they get Bowyer in the digital circus might be a what they are at heart kind of deal. That's always a pretty popular thing to do when making a new appearance for a character. And sort of revealing who they are on a more subtle level. They do that in Resident Evil a few times. I think that's mainly like a quality of the progenitor virus, but they never like ever say that. And it feels like that's sort of an implication for those that are better bonded with the variants of the virus in that series. Yeah, they do. Actually, I may have an example. Let me see here. Objects? Not there. Not there. Can I even do this on here? Not sure how well this is going to, like, translate over on this computer, because I know I can do it on the other computer. Beta... No, not that. Resident Evil Umbrella. Okay. Okay, yeah. Can I take you? Let me see here. Okay, it's loading up, it's loading up. But yeah, the like physical form of oneself being reflective of their like nature is always a very popular way to give a more magical feel towards something. Umbrella. There we go. Okay, yes. This is the main example. This guy here is Umbrella's military commander, Sergei Vladimir. One of the few people that can naturally, is able to bond with the T-virus. And he ends up using the perfected strain of the T-virus on himself. And that ends up turning him into Dish. Yeah, he becomes... Wesker says in notes about him that, or it's either Wesker or a guide, but I think it's Wesker's notes. It, shows that he is bound by Umbrella's chains. That's how he feels, so his hands have, melded into one thing, and he's like all wrapped in barbed tentacles and stuff. That kind of thing. Yeah, that's kind of a similar kind of notion. The just oneself is reflected in what they become. Final Fantasy, I'm sure, does it quite a bit with, like, their final boss type characters. That's a very popular thing there, to make them all gigantic monster type whatevers. Great gods and deities and whatnot. Yeah, Gangle feels like she is probably the one of the best reflected in her personality there in the digital circus. Very, very hesitant, anxious type of person. The mask thing goes very well with them. Kinda made me think of hexadecimal at first. Though the old sage is kinda like hexadecimal with how his mask faces change expressions when he goes behind objects and stuff. We've had this track on repeat quite a bit. I'll probably change it in a tiny bit. Hey, come on. There we go. Yeah, here's hexadecimal, the Queen of Chaos from Reboot. Very much made me think of Gangle when Gangle first showed up on screen. The red and the mask and everything. And I guess there's strips of cloth here and stuff. That is a much more confident character than Gangle is in Digital Circus. Far more destructive also. I imagine if hexadecimal got into the Digital Circus, everyone would probably die there. Given her virus computer nature. Well, maybe not die, but be in a state of just constant chaos and everything. Kinda defeats the purpose of, like, X's personality if she kills everybody. Although she tried to do that in the video game of Reboot, which takes place before the show starts. And you can see what happens if she succeeds, which is rather dark. There's a lot of stuff in the Reboot video game that is like... It's like if you had Season 1 and 2 of Reboot, where it was like still in the more restricted era of the original partnership Reboot had going on. But if you took the censorship off, pretty much. Because it wasn't, like, made under the channel that they were, like, operating under, so they were just free to do whatever in that game. Which is great to see those designs actually get to do stuff that you are more stuff that's more censored in the show version in those earlier seasons. They were obviously wanting to always do the show, like, with the lack of limitations that seasons 3 and 4 for Reboot have. They never could get that in the original deal. I think they weren't allowed to, like, have... I'm pretty sure they weren't allowed to have characters, like, punch each other, like, in the face in those first 2 seasons. Because it was, like, it was bought as, like, an action-adventure show, but because of the channel it was on, the channel was making it so they couldn't do the action-adventure stuff. It was a very bizarre setup. Thankfully, once they originally got canceled, they got picked up by another network and were just free to do basically whatever. I do remember they say, like, they actually curse in that show at 1 or 2 points. It was like, I think... yeah, it's the Crimson Binome. He calls Frisket a hellhound at one point. That was always, like, very startling to me. It was like hearing Alfred say, "My God," in Batman. Both very jarring instances, but made them feel rather cool and more real to have the characters talking like that. Of course, I grew up with uncensored Dragon Ball, so I was kinda used to that kind of, not used to American material doing it, but it just felt like that was more of how things should be to me. If I remember right, the Crimson Binome was voiced by, what's his name? It's the guy that does Dr. Robotnik's voice on The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the Disney Sonic the Hedgehog. What'll it be? What'll it be? What'll it be? Yeah, the, Piñas guy. Snooping as usual, I see. Him. Yeah, I believe that's the voice actor for the Crimson Binome in Reboot. He's always such a terrific voice to have on a show. Which, if anyone loves that Robotnik, be sure to check out, I think they're called I Teach Vader. They make all sorts of, like, music videos out of the voice clips of Robotnik from that show. And they make some very catchy tunes, despite how hilarious it is. I appear today, I appear today to make an historic announcement. Yeah, I could watch those videos for probably a day or two without getting tired of them. I have decided to announce my retirement. For the English voices of Robotnik / Eggman, they usually get him sounding like that in, like, the games and shows. Nowadays, obviously, it's just the, like, one guy, and it's, what's his name? I had his name in my head, but now I don't. I know it used to be Dean Bristow, which, is my favorite English Robotnik. But nowadays, can't remember who he is, but you know him if you've heard Robotnik these days. He's always the one that does the voice, ever since, like, I think since Shadow the Hedgehog, if I remember right. I remember the last one that Dean Bristow did was Sonic Battle. He did voice lines for that, and that was the final Dean Bristow one. Can't remember if it came out before or after he died. And it was a shame to lose him, though. Just perfect combination of intimidating and hilarious. Citizens of Earth, lend me your ears and listen to me very carefully. Just incredible. Of course, the Japanese voice actor was pretty much the same guy up until like 2015 when he died. He just did all sorts of villain voices in anime. It was like, the first one he was, I think, that I knew of was Tao Pai Pai in Dragon Ball. Then I believe he also did Apocalypse, the final villain of the original Digimon series, which I know that Apocalypse is fun to listen to in the English version, but they completely mess him up there. Like, he is so unsettling in the Japanese version, and he's pretty much just a joke in the English version, like, performance-wise. There's a lot of cases of that throughout translated materials in, like, Japanese stuff that is shown in the West. It does leave its mark. I'm sure no one can play Mega Man 8 without hearing Dr. Wowie from Dr. Light. And in some ways, it's kinda hard not to have it that way. Although I usually do prefer a more accurate performance as for, like, what was intended for the characters in the original versions. Yeah, you lose some of the fun if you do that, but if they're a good performance, it's going to be good, regardless of if it's serious or funny. I remember they made a 3D version of the first Pokemon movie, and they had a lot of changes in it in the English version from what it was in the original version. But that's because, like, a lot of people, when they, like, first heard it, were very not liking it. But what it was they were making a version of the script that was more in line with how the original Japanese version of the first Pokemon movie was. Which obviously does not have all the changes in dialogue that the, like, English version made when they dubbed over the original movie. Yeah, you get Mewtwo questioning more about his purpose in life and why he exists and everything. They also make Team Rocket look a lot more like a military force rather than just a bunch of, like, gang members, kind of. They still have the old outfit, but the way they act and, like, how many of them there are is, like, a lot more reminiscent of, like, actual evil military type faction in that version. I did not care for how they redesigned Mewtwo's armor. The original just looks so cool. Always wanted to be able to get armored Mewtwo in the video games. My wrist is starting to hurt for some reason. Not doing anything with it. Well, we're at least on the final panel of the top of the page. Heard people going on about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I myself haven't seen it and probably have no real intention of seeing it, but I've heard a mix of like, it's great or it's not good. Typically the, pretty much any reaction you get from any adaptation. The only way to know for sure is to see for yourself. Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's was never one that I was like super into. Kinda just got annoyed with like everyone playing it and just screaming constantly. Markiplier did not help with that, although he did do like full playthroughs, so you at least got to see the games. No, but it was interesting. Never actually played one, but I have seen like a lot of them. 1, 2, 3 sister location. Then there was one that had like arcade cabinets in the basement of a building. I can't remember what one that was, but I'm sure it's one of the endless amount of games they have of that series at this point. Yeah, I always got kind of irked at, like, when people would let's play horror games and stuff, the ones that would scream and then would not stop screaming. Like, that got insufferable when that was a big thing that was happening on YouTube. It may still be happening, but I don't know, because I don't watch those. Now, the one I always found to be, like, the best when it came to Let's Playing horror video games is, Risgrestar. I think that's how you say his name. I don't think he was ever, like, super popular, but I always loved him. Let me see if I can find him. He better still be around. I do need to, like, save some of his stuff. Risgrestar. Oh yeah, he's still there. Good, good. Yeah, he only has 522 views on one of his latest videos, so I don't think he's ever been super popular, but he's always been what I would consider one of the best. Yeah, it's this guy. He is one I can watch any day and just, he provides such great commentary, just very chill, very relaxed. anyone wants to see Let's Plays, he's pretty nice at it. Not a overacting type of guy, just a nice, calm kinda commentary. Very lively, though. Yeah, the Let's Players I always enjoyed were usually ones that were, like, not the most popular. Cloud8745 was probably amongst the most popular that I saw regularly, back when they were doing stuff. They were very, had some controversies and everything, drama later on. That just sort of came with their personality. That was like back in like 2006 and 7 that I saw them. Then Cypheron48, I will forever love their Banjo-Tooie Let's Play. Arguably one of the greatest Let's Plays of all time to me. I know it's probably not much, but to me it's stupendous. Also like their Bomberman Hero Let's Play, although that's no longer available because their original account got hacked and, like, terminated. Yeah, such is the fate of hackers and trolls. Or not the fate, the workings of. The fate would be the person that is affected by them. I've had people not hack me, but like steal artwork and stuff that I've done before. Doesn't happen often, but I've done so much stuff, like, throughout my time on the internet that I inevitably find things that have been stolen from me and used by other people. It just kinda comes with, the amount of stuff that I have done. I know there was someone that, like, stole the animation where I'm talking, I think, it was in the Earthworm Jim review video where I animated myself talking, and one of those segments was, like, taken and used in another video to, like, they laid a robot voice over my animation of me talking to, like, advertise some website to go to or something. Yeah, Masasa convinced me to, like, report that to YouTube. So it's not around anymore. But that's the instance that I remember the most of someone taking something from me. Yeah, if you create for, like, if you intend to, like, be creating as your main thing in life, just expect that kind of stuff to happen from time to time. It's pretty constant thing. I know that it happens in official stuff. It's like, there's Earthworm Jim HD. It ended up using a fan art for, like, one of the screens in it. I can't remember if the person sued them or anything, but I do remember that. I'm sure the people that made that version of the game did not know it was fan art because it looks incredible. But it's, that game had a few things that were, like, taken from other properties. The HD version of Earthworm Jim is, like, well, first off, it's, like, one of the worst versions of the game. But it also had, like, a fish from Finding Nemo that was in it, and I'm not sure how that was allowed to be there. I know it was outsourced to, like, I think a country in China or something to be made, but that was always very... that was odd, to say the least. I had no idea about it until I saw one of the people that worked on the game posting in a forum about it. But once I knew about it, I could never unsee it. Actually... Jim HD Finding Nemo. Yeah, I'm not sure where people started talking about it in the modern day from, but that fish from Finding Nemo, as far as I knew, I was the only one that, like, mentioned it on anything that was, like, beyond that message board that no longer exists. I mention it in the review video. Now I am trying to find a picture of it, and I can't find it. So, I would have to go into my review video to show it, but I don't really feel like that's really the point of this type of video, so I'm just going to keep working. Just take my word for it. I believe it's Bubbles from Finding Nemo that was in Earthworm Jim HD. A cute little cameo, but probably not a very legal one. And that version is one that I do not ever recommend people playing. It feels so damn loose, and the artwork is just completely messed up in it. They do not try to get it looking like the Doug TenNapel, Mike Dietz type of frames of animation and illustrations at all. And if they did, they did not do a good job. It just looks wrong. For this, we have our own art that we're doing. The endless creations of edward18. I do hope everyone's October has gone well. I'm hoping that my Resident Evil videos provided some form of fun horror for the folks viewing. Yeah, these days I've been too busy with, like, commissions to really do much in the way of, like, video games on the streams after those videos. I did get a bit more in the way of commissions than I'm used to, commission-wise. Which is definitely a good thing, but it does, it was a bit of a surprise, and keeps some other things from getting worked on as frequently. But we're still going with the comic. That'll always be going. This is very, very nice music to work to. Very calm. Calm. Okay, yeah. Just trying to get this evened out, the blacks here. I did see that the Hermitcraft people have started a new life series. The Secret Life. Whenever they do a life series, that is a highlight of the year for me. I love watching that stuff. I love watching Etho. He's always a great time. It's kind of hilarious to me, him and Cleo getting together for this after their divorce in the previous Life series. It'll be nice to see how they operate together. They do pretty well together, because I remember in one of the earlier Life series they ended up partnering up because they were like some of the last ones left, and it was a pretty fun time with those two working together. Of course, once Zombie Cleo talked about Etho being out of his prime in the previous Life series, that kinda kept any partnership from happening there. Yeah, I know these people are up here, don't worry. I'm just choosing not to work on all of them. I do wanna get things done in a timely enough manner. Actually, what I am going to do is get up for a second, and I will be right back. Okay, Edward18 has returned. Rejoice, dear viewers, your king is back. Well, let's see what the king has to do here. He has to fill in Doko's hand, or forearm, I guess. Yeah, Doko is still bleeding out here. He's, got a very open wound for all this. One thing that they do rather well in the manga, in the comic of Dragon Ball, is illustrate the pain of everything better. Illustrate the violence of it all. It's not like the most bloody comic ever, but the moments that are violent, they're basically the same as in the anime version, but they show more detail to it. Because in the comic version of Dragon Ball, like, when Ten Shinhan gets his arm chopped off by Nappa, you can, like, see Ten Shinhan, like, bleeding out throughout the fight and stuff if you're, like, looking at the panels he's shown in. And in the show version, the blood, it's like, it's implied that it's like there and stuff, and there's some scenes of it, but it's not nearly as prominent with the injury aspect as the comic makes it look. Likewise, there's like intestines hanging out of Frieza when he gets chopped in half and everything. Things that they probably don't show in the anime version due to like the age range of it or the time of day it tends to air. Yeah, American standards would just cut out that stuff entirely, but standards between Japan and America, well, between America and most countries is rather different. And rather annoying. Be great to have, like, just what should feel like normal injury type stuff or normal talking to be allowed in American stuff more. You still get things like Samurai Jack, at least. But if we had a show of Doko's stuff here, I would want there to be, like, proper amounts of violence shown in it alongside the adventure and comedy. Obviously, this comic version is like the purest form you can get of it. It has everything that I intend to be in the series in it. I don't fuss much about, like, what all is and is not allowed in the series. Most of the time, things are just fine to put in, no matter what type of content it is. There's obviously sexual implications at parts, obviously very dangerous physical implications at parts, and obviously comedy. Fun for all ages. Just not fun for, like, one specific age group. Yeah, for me, it feels to me like what should be allowed when it comes to standards and stuff is creators should create the piece that they intend to show, and then whatever age group it ends up falling into should be an afterthought. It's like, you make the thing, and then after that you put the rating on it. It shouldn't be that you're, like, making it specifically for a specific age group, unless that is, like, the creator's intent alone. That's just how I see. It's what my preferred world would operate like. Oh, we got a bit of a bounce from Doko here. Hits the floor and slams right off it back into the air, obviously sailing towards the outside of the ring. You know what? I should probably change the music. So I will do that. Once this saves and lets me control the computer again, I'm just saving this so that I don't end up losing things. Okay, there we go. Got a bit of a stutter in the music. Whoa. Well, this is from the Knit Story soundtrack. Okay, just checking how the volume is here. I'll have this play for a tiny bit. I'll turn it down a tiny bit. Don't want it to blast out the audience's ears or anything. Down, down, down. Ding, 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 bum, bum, bum. I'm assuming this must be like for a credits song or something for the... no. Maybe... there aren't really much in the way of credits to do for Knit Stories. But this is probably just a more for like tense or epic moments in the games. Ding, 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 boom. Down, 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 boom, boom. Sort of the wandering cowboy or wilderness feel to it. Actually, that's more of a song than an ongoing background you can really play. Maybe this one? Whoa. Okay. Let's try this for a bit. Hopefully it's like... yeah, that feels good. Just trying to get it to a good volume level. But it's doing the notes so infrequently that it's hard to, like, gauge. Come on, do another. Okay, there we go. We'll raise it a tiny bit. There we go. I'll just leave it at that. And then if it's... it should be manageable enough. Alright. Now back to work. Oh, now it brings in actual instrument stuff. Not sure how well that's going to be appearing audio-wise. May as well just switch to a different thing. Okay. Oh yeah, we can do dish one. Oh, that is light. Not sure how well this will go for, like... maybe a different one. Sorry, this is just the sorting out of... Ow! Oh, this is just not going great. I'm fine with these, it's just... they don't really work well as background music for a video. Oh, we'll try this for now. I'll just leave it playing. This music comes from a game called Lone Survivor, which was an indie survival horror game. Yeah, the Lone Survivor was actually one that it's the first one that I knew of that really attempted a side-scroller survival horror, which is something I always intended to do with my Final Evolution video game idea. It's very odd, like, not the game, just having this playing in the background of my video here. Okay, we are going to move on back to Nick's stories. Just having trouble settling on a track here. Ah, here we go. This'll be calm and ambient enough. Okay, I think this will do. Please let this do. Now I can get back to work properly. After that, minutes and minutes of settling on a track to play. I'm kind of wondering if the volume's alright. But it's just background music. It's whatever. Yeah, Lone Survivor was one that I always... it kind of was the first one that really got towards the type of gameplay I intended to do with my horror video game idea. I've always intended for mine, Final Evolution, to be a side-scroller survival horror series, which had never really been done, as far as I was aware, before Lone Survivor. But I've always had things in mind for how my survival horror side-scroller would operate. Be kinda hiding from things, sort of. I guess technically you have all the horror games that were made in RPG Maker, but that's like taking an RPG like setup and turning it into something it's not. There'd be hiding in Final Evolution, but you'd also be able to use weapons and stuff. You couldn't really kill anything in it, but you'd be able to incapacitate them if you use enough firepower. That obviously that would be a limited resource, so it's not like recommended to just mow your way through everything. You will eventually run out of ammo and stuff. That should be typical knowledge for survival horrors. Yeah, the creatures in Final Evolution cannot actually die. At least not unless their body is, like, completely destroyed. Which obviously you do not really get much of an opportunity to inflict that type of damage on something. I do have it, like, planned that you might be able to do it to 1 or 2 creatures, but you'd, like, need to save up the entire game's worth of resources to really pull that off. Absolutely not worth it. Although, I guess if you do it, congratulations. You've probably just screwed yourself out of being able to beat the game. And I'll again try to find a better track to play. No, there's the Amazing Digital Circus. 2 videos on it.
I was blind from birth.
I'm sorry. I am not interested in your ad about blindness. I have heard it a number of times. Glowforge Orta. Huh. I have no idea what that was, but it looked like a printer or something. Okay. We finally have a track that I'm going to be able to, like, settle on here. Ba-da-da. Da-da-da. Okay, okay. I think we're good here. When in doubt, fall back to Freedom Planet. Yeah, they really hit it out of the park with the soundtrack in the first Freedom Planet. Although this is from the second Freedom Planet, which has nowhere near as good of original tracks to me. But the remixes in it are pretty stellar. You know, it'd be appropriate to, like, play Resident Evil music or something, given what we played through the other week. And I think I'll stick with this. It's nice and catchy. I was thinking about maybe making a Halloween picture, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time for that with everything I've been doing. It's always something to just sort of see about when the holidays come around. The busier you are, the less chance you obviously have to do that type of stuff. If I was someone that was like a super popular YouTuber or something, obviously I'd have the support to be able to do that stuff every time, but I am more of a normal human that just has access to doing this stuff. Not at all Jaden animations over here or anything. I just got me my Pop-Tart and my stylus and tablet. With apparently a southern drawl right now. Edward18's vocal range has a very specific range to it, but it is one he makes use of at times throughout his videos. I'm sure there could be more that I would do with my voice if I, tried, but it feels like I would be worried about it, interfering with, going through walls and other people hearing it and stuff. And then just the idea of people hearing it would keep me from, giving it the performance, the effort that it would need to, actually be a proper voice performance. If you have me in a room, though, and I don't think anyone can hear me at all, then I will do all sorts of vocal things, but I rarely have ever gotten that kind of a setting to operate in. Part of these videos feels like I should run out of things to say more often than I do. But really, as long as you're talking, you can come up with things to say. You just gotta keep talking, and eventually you'll stumble on to something. Wow. Yeah, I could go on and on about Transformers. That was, something that was a subject during the birthday stream. Had plenty I could say for that stream. Animated and Beast Wars will always be what I consider the best Transformers series ever created. I know people like Prime a lot, and it is decent, but I wouldn't consider it the best. Alright, we got only down to the bottom ones now. Doko is charging up another of his energy blasts down here after getting knocked out of the ring. For most people, that would be the end of the match, but with Doko, he is a very determined individual when it comes to the fight. Yep. Probably the best almost out of the ring moment in Dragon Ball is probably when Jackie Chun gets knocked out of the ring by Goku, and everyone thinks that Jackie has gotten knocked out, But then the announcer goes over and he sees that Jackie has, like, slammed his foot into the side of the ring to keep from touching the ground. That was always, like, the most, oh my god, type save of a match to me. By the end of the 23rd Budokai, the match is pretty much completely annihilated, so it's kind of harder to tell what is and is not inside of the ring, but they still have the mound that the ring was on to really tell the perimeters. And as long as you got the tournament announcer, he always knows how to do his job, no matter what state the ring is in. It was always kinda sad that they never made more use of the announcer later on in Dragon Ball. The Cell games did not feel right to me without the announcer there. I mean the real announcer, not the TV guy they got for Mr. Satan there. Part of the reason I cannot consider the Dragon Ball Super tournaments as proper tournaments. If they knew what they were doing, the Angels would have brought in the announcer. Supreme Kai or someone would have mentioned him. Gotta have him. Oh my god, Frieza is using his Death Beam, but Goku is going Super Saiyan. How will this end? Yeah, I love the announcer in Dragon Ball. Obviously made enough of an impact on me to include a showman-y announcer in these tournaments. Oh yeah, you can see him down here. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, he's got the showman act going on. And he also has Robo Eyes, something the announcer in Dragon Ball does not. Just goes along kind of with the more futuristic setting of Dooku's series. Got a ton of cyborgs and stuff in Dooku's world. The only character that's like a cyborg really in Dooku's stuff so far is probably Kaylee Servo, the captain of the pirates that are against the Diabolic Angels. They're sort of rival pirates. Let me see here. Okay. I was just checking where the line was for, like, that white line that separates things, because obviously, since Dooku's vest is black, you cannot do black lines over it to show where the lines of the object are, so you gotta leave white spaces instead to illustrate where the lines are. If this were full color, then that would be a different story. Because then I would be like if there were no black lines on any of the outlines, then I would be like putting different shades and stuff that would cut off and go back to the previous color when it comes to like that area where the light would be shining differently on the material for it being at a different depth than the other material next to it. That's basically what black lines, like outlines for cartoon characters, are implying. Because you could do a cartoon in full color and stuff, but that would take so long that it's like you would never get anything done. Samurai Jack's probably the closest you can really get to that on like an affordable budget and affordable resources and time limit. Because there is like no black outlines in that show, which makes it look really cool, but it's a lot of work to like do it without the black lines. I have done full color for Doko before. I think only 1 or 2 times, though. Not in the comic, just like pictures, just illustrations. It's always cool to do like a full color without the black outlines, but it does take forever to do. If you want it to look good. Actually, if I can, I will go get that picture. That all depends on if the internet decides to, like, crash everything if I try to, though. Can never tell what's going to happen with this computer. It's a bit large of a space there. That'll... we'll see how that does. Then we'll go get the, first save that. Alright. Let's go find us a full-color Doko. Come on. Don't freeze up, please. We just want to see a nice old Doko here. Doko. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's not the best. It was made like a few years ago. But it does illustrate the point. Which is, here. This'll picture... Oh, whoa. Yeah, I was trying to get everything, like, full color, no outlines and stuff. It was just sort of an experiment at the time. And yeah, you can see, like, all the shading that goes on in Doko's vest there to, like, show the lighting. Without the black outlines and stuff, there's, like, a lot more that needs to be done when it comes to the color that is reflected from the light of the setting. Yeah, I don't know if I'd say the best. I like Rascal and Sprite, and Emperor Illuminator looks pretty awesome there. Yeah, he did a bit of reflectiveness to his helmet here. And then if you, like, look real close... Now, you can't really see it there. I don't think that's, like, the right size of the image. Let me see here. Come on. Okay. Take this. And then... Yeah, that's better, I think. Yeah, if you look really close, you can actually see implications of, like, Emperor Illuminator, his eyes, like his human eyes behind the mask.
and it's very faint, that I tried to get that inside there, the pupils. And I think this is where I decided what Doko's eye color was going to be. Because before this, I always just did his eyes as pure black for, like, the comic and everything. But once you, like, do a full color picture, obviously you can't have just black eyes for it, so I just ended up making it go along with, like, the color of his undersuit here. Yeah, there's a lot of strokes that I put into his design there. And then you got all the bad guys back here. Rascal doesn't show any signs of human eyes beneath that, just glowing red. I love how his hair turned out there. It was so much work to do. Yeah, that's the best look you really get at the, what the colors for the characters are intended to be. I always thought that would look cool as, like, a cover for a CD case or something. Yeah, just a nice piece that shows the hero and the main antagonists and stuff. Obviously not all the villains, but a lot of the ones that pertain to the main ongoing story. I forget what I gave Lori there, like, for eye color. Although I think her eyes are obscured by her visor, so it doesn't really, like, show her eye color, I don't think. Alright, got that. Doko is clearly almost falling out of the ring here. Need to get his belt and leg. Call it a belt, it's not really a belt, it's just like part of his outfit's design. It's not a separate object he puts over the outfit. In the previous comic, it shows that he, like, I think he takes, like, the belt part is part of the pants part of the suit. Because he, like, takes off the pants part, and I think the belt design is still on it when he takes it off. And then the shirt here is its own separate piece. It acts as one outfit when they're together, but they can be broken up to, like, be split into pants and a shirt. You can wear it in the shower, as it is not normal clothing. It acts like a second skin, kind of. This music just goes on forever, because I am playing it on a loop. There we go. Then I'll get the audience off screen. Okay. Actually, is there any... Yeah, I'll put in a tiny bit of hair back here to just give the implication that the hair is going on back there.
Bump, da-da-da. There we go. And maybe make it a bit more like that. That should be. Oh, right, we got the bloody arm. Forgot. Yeah, there is. He is just bleeding all over the place from that cut. It is a very vicious injury he got. He is not letting that keep him from moving, though. Doko is one that will fight to the end. A great many heroes do not give up, like, ever. Even if they really should. Even if they're going to, like, get killed if they continue. But sometimes, yeah, the hero has to make that sacrifice. Just not really much of a... not too much reason to do that here, since it is just a tournament, but it is one that Doko intends to give his all in. Yeah, you either go big or go home. Doko is not going home. Not yet. Doko's house is on Hanprint Island. Although no one is at, like, Doko's home right now. Normally either him or the old sage is there, but they are both away right now. The old sage was shown a few pages ago on New Genten Island, which is where Doko and his friends will be headed after this island. They did leave the old sage at Doko's house, though. There we go. Okay. And then here you can see the after effects of Doko. Of Doko charging up his laser. Blasts right off the ground back into the ring. Straight up and then back down. Oh, and we've reached the end of that music track. It's going to play again, but we should probably find a different one to play. Ow. That hurt my ears. We'll go with some Metroid. I know. Let's get to a louder part of the music so I can correctly gauge what to put the music at. Bum, bum. Okay. Okay, that's a bit... 25? No. Yeah. Meh. Meh. We'll leave it there, I guess. That should be good. If anyone has a problem, they can let me know that it is destroying their
audio receptors in their heads. However, I am confident that we are okay. Okay. Back into working. Yeah, this is a very explosive way to get back into the ring. It does save Doko from landing outside of it, though, which would disqualify him. And some might consider it a bit cheating to, like, use energy blasts and stuff in the tournament, but it is a valid way of attacking, as long as the person has been able to naturally figure out how to do that. Obviously, bringing in, like, a laser gun is not going to be acceptable, but if you can do it with your own body and your own abilities and skill, that is typically what is allowed, like, when it comes to the range of things that are allowed to be used in the tournament fights. Getting the announcer's foot a bit bigger here, because it was a smidge too small for me. And I tried to give some lighting around the blast, like some yellow to the tournament arena and the outfit and face of the announcer here. I think it comes across decently enough. It could be a bit more prominent, but with watercolors, it kinda stains the page, so there's not much you can do once it is down in the way it is. You can add more water to dilute the watercolor, but once the color is down, it is going to leave its mark. I think it turned out well enough, though, for the scene. Yeah, having the colored pages is always a nice, vibrant time compared to the black and white pages. It's not something I do all the time, but it is something that pops up in all the comics after, like, Battle on Gorgok Mountain, for about 10 to 15 pages for the colored portion. Although this one has quite a bit more than the colored pages of previous comics, with how long this comic is turning out to be. I intended for the entire Doko Claw fight to be in color, as like the final match, like how the Krekolank Hawker fight for the final match of the previous comic was in color. I just didn't expect this match to be going on for this long. I would say, hopefully, that people are not too annoyed with how long this match has been going on, but I kinda think that people enjoy having more lengthy matches than shorter matches. Yeah, I don't ever intend for the comic to be just fighting and nothing else. That's where it gets boring to me. But sometimes we'll have bouts of lots of action. Whatever works for the individual adventurer. Alright, we gotta get the Claw's pants here, and let me see. Just checking the blacks of the microphone. Metroid music. I remember in the earlier days of YouTube, people would use this music track, Phendrana Drifts, more. It was a very popular track for, like, background music for videos. When it was, like, calmer parts of videos. The whole music scene for video games usually doesn't feel as good to me as it used to. Not nearly as catchy these days. There are obviously those that are, but by and large, it doesn't feel like music is as much of a priority now for games. I rarely ever call things like when you're talking about how things used to be, I rarely ever say, like, oh, they used to be good type of thing, or give just a vague, in the old days type of label to things, because that is never, like, accurate to how it is. Everything's all split up into its own era, so when I talk about older stuff, I usually try to get the era correct when I'm talking about it. Because there are eras that are, like, eras that are old that are bad. Like, they're not all good. They're not all better than the modern one. And there are ones that obviously are, but there's eras of any quality throughout history. Like, the 80s for American cartoons will forever be, like, arguably the worst era for American cartoons, no matter how bad it's gotten after at times. It was good for, like, 90s. 90s was, like, when the creators were, like, actually able to do what they wanted to again. And then the 2000s are, like, refining that era of freedom and creativity to better quality, usually. And then it gets bitten back a bit with, like, the 2010s, until My Little Pony comes along and starts getting the cartoon quality back up again. Yeah, there's good and bad to all parts of history. Not sure what I would consider the absolute best era for cartoons. Obviously, it differs from person to person depending on what they view as good and bad. For me, it's just, like, good animation, good story, good adventures, good everything about that. Like, you can have the best story and stuff ever, but if your animation and visuals are garbage, cartoon-wise, it kinda isn't gonna work. Now let me see, was this, like, a black ring around this? I think it was. Then I'll do the kanji of it off screen. Yeah, cartoons were very good, like, for the 60s and stuff. And then, as it got into the 70s, it started to dip more. And then by the 80s, it was just absolutely deteriorated with, like, toy companies, of all things, operating like the industry, pretty much. Just utter garbage, how it ended up being. That's hopefully a state that the industry never gets to that degree of ever again. It probably will in the centuries to come, but hopefully not that often. Edward thinks too much. He is always thinking, and it goes beyond what I believe normal people have as their frequency of mental tinkering. Just no way to switch the brain off. I mean, there is a way, but it's a very definitive way that people do not tend to do. I've pretty much been working on this page all of yesterday, getting it colored and inked. Then I immediately, that was like probably around 6-8 hours. Then I scanned it into the computer and spent about 3-ish hours, I'd say. No, maybe more like 2, working on like some of the editing. Then I went to bed and got up, finished the editing on that computer, then transferred everything over to this one, and now I'm here, finishing up the editing. That is a typical Edward production schedule for a page. Well, once you get the drawing part done, and that part I already had done from the day before the day before. So, 2 days ago. That was alongside working on commissions and stuff. Which I will be getting to some of the commissions again once I'm done with this. So that'll probably be the rest of the day for me. And I actually have a little strand of grass here to billow out from where the explosion occurs. Doko lands back in the ring, still bleeding profusely, unable to use this arm. It's just kind of dangling there while he does things with the other hand. A bit of painful imagery, but an admirable amount of determination. I know they made a manga of Metroid Prime. It's not like a real comic It's just sort of a little adaptation thing they made when it came out. It's not at all, like, to the degree of the, Metroid E manga, the prequel to the Metroid series. That one is, like, the most extensive story, I think, that's ever really been told as an active, ongoing narrative. That is absolutely something that people should look at if they are getting into the Metroid series. Gives a good introduction to all the characters and stuff. I showed a bit of it during the Metroid Fusion Let's Play and mentioned it rather frequently throughout the Metroid Let's Plays in general, just to clear up some of the story elements of the series as I played it. I'm pretty sure Metroid Fusion, one of the Japanese pictures that you can get, like, when you beat it, is where Ridley is first shown to be the one that attacked Samus's parents. Then after that, they show it more in depth in the Metroid manga. It would be awesome to have, like, comics of the Jak and Daxter series, either to continue it or as, like, adaptations that are done in the art style of those games. You gotta get the art looking right for that series. It was, like, very distinct. I forget what... I have the Naughty Dog art book. I could look up, like, what they called the art style. I remember they called it a specific thing that, like, is a... It's like an art style they made up for it. I want to say jam, but I can't remember. Really, I just want a Jak 4. That's what I've been waiting for like a decade and a half now. Maybe getting towards 2 decades. I've just been sitting here waiting for that Jak 4. Well, like how Edward operates, Jak feels like something that came out just yesterday to me. Feels kind of empty not to have it continue with how they left it. Although I guess you have Jak X, that's like after Jak 3, but I mean like the main numbered series, how they ended Jak 3. Obviously there is more that they do after Jak 3, like adventure-wise, but whether or not we ever see that is still up in the air. But at least it was a good, solid 3 games that we got. The original Jak and Daxter was always the best to me of the series when it came to, like, the platforming adventure type of game. Jak 2 has, like, the best... Well, it has the most detailed story. It's an absolute bitch to get through at times with how hard the game is, but story-wise, it has what feels like the most attention paid to the story. Then Jak 3 is, like, arguably the funnest to me. It really combines everything from the first two games to get them refined into just a great platforming shooting experience. Story-wise, it's a bit more simple than 2, but it is still a pretty epic finale to everything. I believe Jak and Daxter is sort of an inspiration. There's elements in ways from it, or like what the whole hyper-advanced ruins and stuff for Doko's time period. Because originally when I was making up the idea for Doko's series, it was not part of my, like, older stuff that I made up. It was not the future world of the 2000s, 90s stuff that I came up with when I was younger. During the earliest concepts, Doko's stuff was, like, its own universe, but it ended up, like, throughout the very early phases, probably within a few months of making up the ideas for it, I started to incorporate it as part of the ongoing storyline of my older stuff. So it wasn't too long that it was like its own thing, but by the time I like actually began work on anything, it was always pretty much part of the stuff, the world I had always worked on ever since I was little. And the hyper-advanced ruins they were, well, I can't say too much right now, so I will stop myself before any big plot elements come into the discussion. All that I was trying to say was that Jak and Daxter had some influence on the, like, hyper-advanced ruins setting. That and, like, Mega Man Legends. Those two are, I think, the prime candidates for things that probably influenced that aspect of the setting of Doko's world. During the earliest phases, that was like back... When would that have been? That was like... probably around 2006 or 2005 or 2007 was probably when I was thinking that stuff up for the series. It was like... It was a while ago now. After a while, unless you mark down the dates for everything, you kinda lose track of when things were made up. It was years before I started making the comics, though. I came up with Doko's stuff as just kind of another of my never-ending projects, and then it ended up, like, I thought about it more and more and more. And then once I always have, everything I make up is always in my head. It's all always part of the universe I intend it to be, whether or not it ends up, like, getting made or not. So Doko's stuff was, like, planned out back then. But it's like, once I decided to start making a comic, I just settled on Doko out of the various, numerous projects I have come up with. He was the one that I went with. It could have just as easily been, like, Final Evolution if I wanted to do a more realistic type of comic, or, I say realistic, I mean more realistic looking, like, drawn. It could have been Capper and the TV Demons. Could have been Lester and Baron Gearwick, but could have been Barbot and the Freaks, which is like the, in the far past for these comics, timeline-wise. They are more of the 2000s time period. But I ended up going with Doko's time period. And then I just never quit. Which is good. It's something finally being made of my stuff. After so many years of not doing much with them. I'd always draw things in sketchbooks and stuff, but they'd just be like sketches. They weren't anything of a series that was properly being done. Whether or not this is even properly being done after all this time is up for debate, because it's like not a published series. Although I've been doing this for like probably 13, 14 years at this point. I think more like 13 or 12 years I've been doing these comics. I absolutely intend to publish them once I get around to remaking the first few. Okay, just trying to see how the blood lines up here. I think I got it right. Just don't want to go over it with the black. Although if I do, it's just a simple matter of erasing that blockage. There we go. Doko, I have been spending too much time working on you the last 2 days. I generally do not spend this long, like, working on the comic page in, like, one session, like, throughout the last day of coloring and inking non-stop, and then going straight into editing on the computer. But with everything that's been happening, that's been keeping, like, it feels like I need to get a comic page out, because it feels like it's been a bit of a length since I did the previous one, like, put it up. Always working on stuff. Do not think that I am not making things in the meantime. It's just for the comic itself, it feels like I should get this page made and put up with the length it feels like it's been between the comic pages. Because all of this stuff in the comic pages, like the last 2 comics, are just taking place over the course of a single night, pretty much. Or a day and night. And if this were like a show, the audience would be getting to see all of this in just like 30-minute episodes. But with me being one person making this, it's obviously does not go that fast. Once it's all out there and like the comic issue is complete, I would absolutely recommend to like look through this issue, or look through this issue, the one before it, and the one before that, all like in one day, so that you like get the full experience of the tournament adventure. I always intended for this tournament to be like 3 comics long. Although I did not intend for this issue to be as long as it has been. But it does make it feel like a pretty proper finale, probably, to have it be this length. Yep, trying to settle on how to do the line to show the separation of the foot and leg. I'll leave it like that for now, but I may cover it up with black afterwards. All depends on how good I think it looks. Alright. Probably do a lot more variety of stuff, like, than the typical YouTuber does, because I know, like, it seems like once someone gets into doing something on their YouTube channel, that is primarily what they end up doing. Like, a lot of times these days, it's like people reacting to stuff, and that's like all that their channel becomes. Or it's all Let's Plays and stuff, and that's all that channel is. But for me, I just throw everything I can onto mine. Reviews, animations, all the stuff. These drawing streams, these comic making streams, the video game streams. Just a wide variety. Come for the drawing, stay for the god-awful commentary. And the bad hum singing that Edward does. Everyone likes a good Fendrana Drifts. Okay, I got that. Then I think all that's left is the Claw down here with his little, like, look that he's giving Doko in the final panel. Yeah, we got Doko, and then just do the Claw here with his 2 eyes. It's pretty much the only thing that needs to be colored. Although I guess I'll color, like, the outside, the, like, actual background of the panel black, so it's more interesting to look at. It is nice to finally be getting to the Claw after all this time in the comics. There's always been implications of him throughout, like, history stuff in the series. Him and a few other characters, but this is the first time that it's really, like, interacting with any of that stuff. Yeah, it is pretty cool to me. Mainly because it's one of the characters I always drew when I was little. The ones that would, like, go on the old adventures and stuff that I made up back then. Except now, here, he is quite a bit older than he was in those adventures. Can only stay young for so long. Then this'll be the last of the bits that I do on screen. This little area here. That'll make this, make it look more interesting to have just a pure black background as opposed to a white panel. Having it be just a white blank background makes it look a bit more lazy to me here. And it would be more lazy since that would not be something in the background. That would be the Toriyama method, just, yeah, I could do that, but at the same time, that's work. And I chose to do the work here. Okay, that should be good. And if we raise the opacity, there we go. Okay. Well, I think we have everything I'm going to do on screen. Obviously, I have little things like the areas of white here to take care of between the audience members and stuff, but I'll do that all off screen. So, starts off with the claw here. Doko is bringing his hand back up from where he punched in the previous page. The claw makes a jab at him with his claw. Doko narrowly dodges, and as he's coming back up, the claw gets ready with his other claw and smacks Doko hard enough to knock him onto the ground, which then bounces him out of the ring. And before Doko can fully get out, he charges up this blast with his hand and goes soaring back up, lands back in the ring. And the claw is given a bit of a look to him there. But I think that is probably all that we will be doing here. In fact, I know that is all that we will be doing here, because I had decided that beforehand. So, thank you everybody if you are here or have watched to the end of the video. This has been another, comic, working session with Edward. And I guess later on today, just check on the DeviantArt, and this page should be up once I get all the details finalized in it. For now, though, this'll be the end of our working session. I'll be seeing you all later. Bye-bye for now.